Welcome to week 6 of KHP 241. This week we're going to get into the defense part of the game of basketball and the fundamentals and just hit very key fundamentals on defense. The last 2 weeks it's been really good. We went over some offensive schemes and fundamentals of offense, and now for this week and next week we're going to get into the defensive schemes. And again, I'll remind you all, and it will be posted probably by the end of this week or midweek, about getting that, teaching somebody the fundamentals of how to shoot a basketball or how to play defense correctly or how to rebound or how to pass. Need you all to get that on video. You can record it on your iPhone or iPad, anything like that, and you can upload it on YouTube, or you can just send the file to me as well. But again, be thinking about who you want to do that with, and and it can be any age. It can be any age and stuff like that. Right now, let's get into talking about a little bit about defense. The number one thing in defense is to stop the ball. Okay, the ball was the only thing that puts 2 or 3 points on that board, on the scoreboard. So stopping the ball is very, very vital in the game of basketball. And that's the very first thing that needs to happen. You should always tell my kids to point and talk when stopping the ball. Next thing is between the player and the basket. Okay, you should be between your player and the basket. You don't want to be behind of them. You should be between the player and the basket. And we'll get into reasons why help defense and things of that nature very quickly. I'm gonna post a video on here, probably about 10 to 12 minutes, real short one. Then I'm gonna post another one by Bill Walton. He does a great job. I found a great fundamental defensive video on YouTube that he posts, and there'll be questions from that as well for the test. But the third thing is you got to see the man of the ball, or what we used to call it back when I was playing in high school was you got your ball, you got me, and then the man. Okay, so you should be between the basketball and your player. So three easy things to remember right there. Stop the basketball, be between the player and the basket, and ball me man, or you got to see the man and the ball. Because if you don't see your man, if you just keep looking at the ball, he can flash behind you and he'll be wide open for a layup and things of that nature. First thing we're going to get started on is on the ball defense. Obviously, the first thing, like I said, you need to do is stop the ball. To make sure an easy 2 points don't get on the board. They just don't get the rebound and take off with it and dribble it all the way to the rim. That's stopping the ball. When you don't stop the ball, that makes a coach go crazy. I mean, you can just. It's usually if one of my kids, if that happens, we're definitely taking the time out and getting some people out of there, making some substitutions quickly. But anyway, I got some things right up on the board here on the ball defense. You got to have great ball pressure. Pressure, that saying, pressure bursts pipes, so to speak. So pressure makes diamonds. It's true on the basketball court. If you can make somebody feel uncomfortable, and that's what we're trying to do on defense, is make the offense do something that they're not confident in doing. So applying that ball pressure will maybe get them to turn that ball over, and what I call a live ball turnover. That's the best turnovers to have, is live ball turnovers. And live ball turnover is, say we're playing great defense on the ball, great pressure defense, and we forced the offense to make an obvious pass, which that means that the guys playing in help side can read that pass real quick and steal that basketball and go down and make a quick 2 points, and then we're right back in our offense. That's my favorite type of offense. I think it's every coach's is ball pressuring them to get live ball turnovers, and it leading to easy buckets and things like. And it's fun to watch and play. Number 2 right here: stay in a defensive stance. Stay in a low defensive stance. That is so important in the game, because once you're straight-legged, the offense can do anything. They can go right by you if you're on the ball. If you stand straight up, if you're off the ball, they can cut back door. You should always be in a low stance and on defense, especially on the ball or off the ball. Okay, no middle drives. Okay, we force everything to the sideline or baseline. Okay, we force everything to the sideline and baseline. I believe, and my philosophy is that if the offense, that's what I'm trying to do with our any type of offense we're running. I'm trying to get that ball in the middle because that alleviates a lot of options. It lets that point guard or ball handler just see the floor 100%. If you keep it on one side of the floor, they can only see 33%, so to speak, or the offense is only on 33% of the floor, and then we have our rotations after forcing that ball out of the middle. So make sure there's no middle drives. Don't let that ball in the middle. Even if there's a guy flashing to the middle, he should be getting bumped. So we really want to keep that ball out of the middle. Okay, fourth one right there. Play defense without fouling. I mean, that's pretty much, I believe everybody understands. That's play D without fouling. You can't help your team if you foul out, or if you keep fouling, you send them to the bonus real quick. They can still score. So play defense without fouling. I always tell my players to foul with their lower half. To foul with their lower half. That means they're walking up into their offensive opponent and ball pressuring them, but not using any hands. Okay, the referee will call a quick foul on you if you use your hands or body, but if you use your legs, if your lower half, if you try to foul with your lower half, they hardly will never call it. So foul, I always tell my kids, if you're going to foul with your lower half and get these hands out, and sometimes you can use your chest. Okay, use your lower half. Lower half. Okay, this is the number one thing maybe in defense right there. And I always tell my kids, we do a lot of drills, a lot of communication drills. I think that's very vital in anything that we do. But communication on the ball. I have my kids saying ball when they're on the ball. So I believe communication is very well, especially on defense. If there's a screen coming, somebody ought to be telling that man screen left or screen right, especially when he's on the ball and there's somebody trying to get him off the ball. So communication is vital and important to have in your defense on the ball and off the ball. And then the last thing right there is a great one right there. Have a sense of urgency. Get these guys to have a sense of urgency about playing defense, because defense wins championships. I know everybody's heard it, but defense wins championships. If you can hold the team to less points than you're going to win. And that starts with having a sense of pride on the defensive part. So those are just 6 things on the ball defense that I think that are important. And when you're teaching on the ball defense, you should invest into your program. Next, we're going to get into on the ball defense when the offense starts to dribble or starts to attack the basket. I tell our guys on defense, if you're not close enough to touch, then there's no ball pressure being played. So we always tell our guys close enough to touch. And then also, I'm sure many of you know that if you're on the offensive person for more than 5 seconds, and that's a violation, and that's a 5-second call, and you all get that ball back. So if you're close enough to touch for 5 seconds on the ball right there, and you get a turnover, and that ball's yours. I want to get to when like I said, when we want to get to when the guy starts to dribble, we always tell our kids close enough to touch. We always shade to one side of the floor, never letting them go middle, never ever letting them go middle. Okay, that's just my philosophy, and that's what we've stuck to, and I've had pretty good success doing it. Foul with the lower half. And what I mean by that is when that guy with the ball, if that ball ever goes up above his head right here, we should be walking in with our lower half, fouling him with our waist and downward. Okay, so that's a good reference to when you all are teaching defense. Tell your kids to foul with the lower half, never with the hands. Always foul with the lower half and walk into that guy and take up that space. And you want to make that guy when he brings that ball up and you start bringing him in, he'll turn away from that basket, and that's what you want to do on the defensive end. On their first dribble, say they're on offense and they're going towards that basket on their first dribble, I don't really tell our kids to slide. Okay, I mean if you do slide, it needs to be short, choppy steps there, lateral, and then trying to force them back. But I always tell our kids to sprint on the first dribble, because most of the time we play so close where we like to pressure the ball. Once they make one dribble, and I always say force them, they can juke all they want to try to get to one side, try to get to the middle, but we're always forcing them to one side. So they might have a little bit of a head start. But as soon as they put that ball on the floor, okay, It's a dead sprint. It's a dead sprint to try to share, to try to square. I'm sorry, to try to square your shoulders up with the offense's shoulders up. And then once you all are square, you try to again foul with your lower half, and you want to force that offense back away from the basket. That's the most important thing. Again, when an offense has got the ball and say he rips through and attacks the rim there, on defense you sprint your tail off to try to square your shoulders up with his shoulders and force that offense back. Now we're going to get into off the ball defense. Okay, here behind me I have a 1-4 set run by a lot of teams that play college basketball. Here we're going to start with the ball on the one side there. Okay, the way you write on the defense when you're drawing up plays and things of that nature. So if I want the guy on the ball right here, I draw an X. Okay, with a 1, X1. That means that X means that he's guarding the ball right there. Okay, where the 4, whoever's guarding the 4, we always say up the line, up the ball. Okay, so he should be about right in here. Okay, we call it a third. We call it a third. He wants to be 1/3 between the ball and his man. And when he does that now, he wants to be sitting down in the stance like we've talked about, hands out, and we call them pistols. I want you to point at your guy and to point at the guy who has the ball. And so that's always ball, me, man, what I was talking about earlier. Okay? Whoever's guarding the 2, we always we tape a line to run across our floor right in the middle, and we call it the midline. All right, we call it the midline. And we always tell the 2 man, if that ball is on the weak side, or the ball is on strong side and you're on the weak side, you all should be shading towards that midline. So he should probably be about right in here. Okay? The more that the ball is dribbled away from him, the more he shades with the ball. Okay? So the more that the ball is dribbled away from him, opposite of him, the more he shades with that basketball. Okay? So again, ball's right here, ball, me, man over here. He should be able to see the ball and his man. And we always tell our kids to have their head on a swivel when in help side, to have a head on a swivel. So that means their head should be rotating around like so. Because if they just keep staring at that ball right there, he could cut back door for an easy one. So we never say that. So we always tell our kids, have your head on a swivel. All right? X5 man should be playing post defense up to the line of the ball. Okay, again, ball, me, man. And again, whoever's playing the 3 should be in this third, okay, between him and ball. And the reason for this, if the 1 was to penetrate in this lane, he'd be able to help. If he's held it to his man over here, he wouldn't be able to help out with the drive right there. And what's the most important thing is to stop the basketball. Okay? The basketball is the only thing that scores points right there. So that's just all I want to get into this week as far as off the ball defense. Of course, there could be rotations and everything like that, but we won't get into it probably in this class. We'll save that for another class, an advancement class. But use this midline right here. I think that's very important. When this ball is opposite of you, okay, say the 1 passes it to the 4, okay? X4 should close out on the ball. X1 goes to where X4 is. X2 comes up in the lane right here in this third. X3 gets closer to the midline. Okay? As the ball is moved, so should you. All right? We always tell our guy, whoever's X4 right here, say the ball's at the 1. When he passes it to X4, he should be meeting his man when his man catches that ball right there. He should be right into him, playing pressure defense right there. So he reacts as soon as that ball leaves the 1's fingertips. He is in a dead sprint, closing out, choppy steps on the closeout, and forcing them to that side of the floor. Okay? Again, that's all we'll get into for this class as far as off the ball defense right there. Defense, like I said, our defense wins championships, guys. It wins championships, and it takes a lot of repetition to be great at defense. It takes a lot of communication to be great at defense. It takes a lot of dirty work to be good at defense. You know, you got to grind for it every day. You got to have some heart to play some defense. Anybody can go shoot in the gym all they want to, but it's the little things when people aren't watching. I know when I had a couple of kids that's played for me. They'd be in the gym by themselves. I get here and they're working on defensive slides by themselves instead of, anybody can be shooting. That's the easy part. But it takes hard work and dedication to be great at defense. It takes a mental aspect, a tough mentality to be great at defense. So know, guys, that stress defense to your team. Make sure it's perfect to a T. Make sure they get to their spots. Okay, well, like I said, the hardest thing to do is when their man doesn't have the ball, is to get off that ball and play help defense. Play your team. It takes 5 people to play great defense, not one. If you got one person, if you got 4 playing great defense in their spots and one not, it'll break the whole defense down, and the offense will exploit that. And that's your goal as a coach. When I go scouting, I look at the strengths and weaknesses of a team, and I try to obviously play to their weaknesses. If their defense, I see a hole in their defense, we'll do a play just to break that down and get some scores, get some easy buckets real quick, and we'll keep going to it until they stop it. So this is very important. Make sure you can do a shell drill. Take the 5s off there and just do a shell drill. And we even do it at college level. Throw it around, have the offense hold the ball for 3 to 4 seconds. Look at your rotations, make sure everybody's in their correct form. Have their pistols pointing down in the stance and up the lane right there. But again, guys, this is all I wanted to get into on off the ball defense.